Welcome to another episode of the One of One podcast. My name is Sofia and I am your host. And we have really been diving into real and raw conversations. And I can't thank everyone enough for tapping into what One of One has been all about, from even just the starting grounds to where we are now. Every single viewer, every single subscriber, every single follow has really been God sent. I can't even say another word but God sent. And today I get the honor and the privilege to interview a man who I met in a dressing room and behind the scenes. And it was pretty awesome because I'm somebody who's not in the financial space. I'm on social media, but you'd be surprised how many people you don't know if you aren't consistently on it, and if you even live in like other countries. So everybody that I've interviewed so far has been here live in person in the studio, and today we're going to be doing a virtual recording, a virtual podcast, and I get to interview Michael J. McDonald, co-founder and CEO of Earn Your Leisure. And listen, I don't know, but I read this article and I was like, this is the guy that I'm gonna be speaking to. Like, are you for real? And that night I had to go home and I was like, I don't know. I met this guy and I met these individuals, and I've never, been a part of such an incredible event. So from that event came so many incredible connections. And I just want to thank you, Michael, and welcome you to this podcast. And thank you for making yourself available, because I know this is not only going to bless listeners and viewers on my platform, but we are going to really dive into maybe some conversations that you might have not had before. So welcome to the One of One podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here.
Of course. And I'm going to read your bio, because I don't know if you get your bio read a lot, but for me, one of the highlights of my business was when I actually realized, like, yeah, that's me. Like, I've done that. And I think we're going to dive into your story, and I think we hide behind the curtain a lot. And not just myself, where sometimes I would say, I don't want people talking about who I am, or, that doesn't really matter, but it does. It does, because when we talk about where we came from to where we are now, it really just like blows my mind that this was even possible. So Michael J. McDonald, for those of you who don't know, is an accomplished entrepreneur, brand architect, and marketing expert hailing from New York. Despite facing adversity while growing up in public housing, Michael discovered his passion for computers at the age of 14, which led him to create local flyers and eventually delve into web development. His entrepreneurial spirit and desire to expand his skill set led him to explore photography and carve out a niche in the nightclub scene, which is something we have in common and we'll talk about in a little bit. But in his 30s, his mindset shifted to more long-term interest, and he began to take equity in companies. And his dedication led him to co-create a highly successful financial media powerhouse, Earn Your Leisure, EYL, along associated ventures such as InvestFest and EYL University. However, the birth of his first child in 2022, she's so cute, proved to be a pivotal moment for Michael, sparking introspection around his legacy. Michael has then since transitioned into more of a public-facing role, where he is quickly becoming a beacon for personal branding and mentorship. And I just really want to finish with the part where your personal brand is now where you are focusing on, and his experience, all your experience in branding and business development, is now seen on Black Enterprise, underscoring your mission to leave an indelible mark in the industry. So, Michael, I just want to congratulate you for all your work, because you're really an instrument to so many men, so many Black men, so many individuals that really started from the bottom, and you're such a catalyst in this space. So thank you for being here.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to Dove. I did my bio and she took my bio and redid it. So you got the actually newest version. I literally updated that yesterday. You got that from my website? I updated it yesterday. That's crazy. So
I love it. I'm gonna have to hit them up, because you know what? Your bio, that's the first thing, other than social media, when we dive into that, your bio is what people read. And from there, it's I literally got your full story in probably under 30 seconds. I feel like I know you, we're best friends,
No, we are best friends.
Yeah.
You held me down. Now I got recordings of my first international speaking thing because of you. I appreciate you.
Well, welcome to your first international podcast. That's amazing. I mean, and you're
First
my
internet.
first international
I'm
podcast.
an
So cheers,
international podcaster now.
international podcaster. Look at
I like
that.
this.
Look at that. I love the sounds of that.
Look at
But it didn't
God. Look at God.
look at God, but it didn't always start there. It didn't always start there. And I read um when you lived in New York, and I mean you mentioned that you lived in public housing. And I think for
Mhm.
me, I'm an immigrant. So I moved from Colombia to Canada, but I was 6. I was young. I didn't know much. And
Yeah.
I don't remember much about my childhood at all. But there had to be something in you when you were either living in public housing to when you started working in a nightclub to where you are now that really, I don't know, I feel like something must have happened that shifted your gears. I want to know, because you could have stayed there. You could have stayed in the public housing space. You could have stayed in the streets. You could have done anything, but you're here. So kind of talk to me through that. Like, let us know about that process for you.
So this is, I've never actually said this publicly, so I hope I can say it correctly. I was gonna make a video about this, but you always wonder, it's like, I'm the youngest out of five kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize like the oldest goes through so much. They deal with the most pressure. And because you're the oldest and you have to deal with pressure, some people can't handle pressure uh, uh correctly or good, and
Yeah.
they kind of bust. And the oldest child normally gets the most pressure because they have to deal with so many things. And like as a parent, you know, they blame things on the older one because they were supposed to know, right? So I'm the youngest, and I got to see all the different mistakes my siblings made, all the different decisions they made, and I had an advantage. My advantage was I can learn from their mistakes and apply it to my life, or I can do the same thing they did and kind of go the same route and make the same mistakes. I
Mm-hmm.
decided to learn from their mistakes, and I took everything in from what they've done. Like, so I take a little bit from each sibling and I apply it to my life, good or bad, and change it up. And I was able to like become like an entrepreneur really young. And I always wanted more. I always wanted nice things. I used to watch MTV Cribs. I used to see, like, I had a friend that had a really big house. That I met, like, he was my client. Now he's my business partner, but he had a big house and a nice car. He always had nice cars, jewelry. And I never really looked like I never wanted to hate on those people like that. They inspired me. And the unfortunate part is our community is taught to bring other people down that's doing well and not
Mm-hmm.
bring them up and not be
Mm-hmm.
inspired by them. And I was the one that was just inspired by some, like, when I seen someone like me doing really well and you came from where I came from, that just gives me inspiration. So I think that's what it was. It was just taking the little bit of inspirations I had and just making a big impact with it.
That's so good. And you either stay the same and kind of box yourself in the place where other people are. And I find I find that that's so, like, you either make it or you kind of break yourself, kind of thing. And you learn from those mistakes. And our siblings play such a hero. I have 2 older sisters, and I love that you were able to, mention that you were the youngest, because um you either, like I said, you either learn and you figure it out, or you want to be just like them. You look up to them and you say, well, they were this and they did that, so I'm going to go and follow in their footsteps. And not to shame or hate on our older siblings, because they did with what they knew then, and we know better. And so when you know better, you should do better. And
That's a
so
fact.
I love that, because now you're at this position where so many people look up to you, and
Mhm.
you are paving the way for entrepreneurs, but also so many brands. And I'm sure people kind of, I mean, I resonate with your story from the aspect of the nightclub, because I used to teach dance lessons at a nightclub. And
Wow.
yeah, I was young, I was underage, but I used to teach
Wow.
salsa lessons in the nightclub. And I always thought, like, because I wanted to, like, bottle serve, I wanted to bartend, like, I wanted to make the big money. Like, I saw the lights, I saw the promoters. I thought, you know what, maybe
Mhm.
I could, stick around and mess around with one of the promoters that have big money. All the things, like the mindsets as a young woman that you have. And I thought the nightclub was going to be it for me. I did. and it either shapes you and you stay in the
Very true.
environment, or it wrecks you and you run and get out. And for me, it wrecked me and I had to get out. Otherwise, it was
Right.
really going to consume me, because that's, it's fast life, it's fast money. And although I was teaching dance lessons, like my role was to get in, teach the dance club at 9 o'clock, have some
Mhm.
drinks, connect with some people, and then get out. But that never happened. So you in the nightclub, you were creating flyers for promoters.
So, well,
What were you doing? Like, talk to me
how
about
it started. So when
that
I was four,
season.
yeah, when I was four, so it was a couple seasons in the nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
So the first season began when I was in like 14 years old. I learned Photoshop and I started making flyers for like these local promoters. They needed flyers, and flyers was a big thing because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really digital at the time. It was more printouts and people would hand out flyers. So I would charge like $25 for the front, $25 for the back, $50. And I would get $50 for a flyer. And I had like 4 or 5 promoters every week doing weekly parties. So that would mean I would make about $250 a week just on
Wow.
flyers. And I'm 14 years old. So it was cool, you know what I'm saying? So that was like the first season. I was just doing flyers. And then the second season, I would say I took those same promoters, like those same individuals that I was already doing commerce with, like I was already doing business with. And I would say, yo, you need a website, you need photography, you need this. I would just add little services to them. And I was
Mm-hmm.
focused on them because they're already paying me. So I wanted to focus on the people that are already paying me because they are comfortable paying me. They trust me. They like me. So they're going to continue to do business with me. I just got to solve a problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was doing because I seen that they didn't have a representation online. I immediately knew that early on that you needed some type of digital imprint online. And that was like I want to say the second season I was just making websites. And then I picked up a camera and we used to do like an annual cookout. But the first annual cookout, I picked up I had a camera and I was like, let me just take pictures for this cookout. End up taking pictures for the cookout, and it was like a hit. Everybody loved the pictures. I had a little card I was giving out because I was making flyers. Of course, I'm gonna give flyers so they
Yeah.
could see the pictures, and people loved it. So that made me think like, oh wait, I remember when I used to go out when I go to the club, there's photographers in there. I want to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
come to find out, I found out they make like $75 a party, and I could do 3 parties a night. I'm like, ooh, I like this because this is the time when New York City was like it was jumping for nightlife.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit up every single website, and one website that hit me back was Talk of New York, and I started doing nightlife, and I literally would take pictures in the club for about 30-40 minutes for each club, and I would do 3 clubs a night, literally every single night, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And it was cool because I was making $200 a night. I didn't drink like that at the time, so I wasn't partying. I would just literally go to the club, and I knew how to capture the moment. That was the most important thing. Whether the party was dead or not, I knew how to make it look like it was a live event, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
goal because, again, those same promoters I was working with before, I knew what they wanted. So I had a whole nother audience, but I used the same market research that I had from the promoter, my local promoters. I used it with the city
Mm-hmm.
promoters, because it was the same thing. They had the same problems, and I was giving them solutions. So now I
Yeah.
was making flyers for them, making websites for them, and I was taking pictures. It just opened my business up to a whole different level. And that was my like third season, and then I got into a serious relationship like in my early, like right when I turned 30, and I don't think she was comfortable with what I was doing in the club, like taking pictures. So I kind of like pushed away from it, and I said, you know what? I want this relationship to work, so I'm change up, and there's something else that out there for me. And I started to just do more websites. I started to do more corporate work and not do photo shoots. And I kind of like got away from the camera.
Wow. It's so interesting, like hearing all that and seeing how everything at the end of the day is interconnected to who you are right now. Because if it wasn't from where you started, all those skills tied in together are like essential to who, like what you do right now and why you're
100%.
able to do that. And that's just,
100%.
that's on like being one of a kind. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people that say, I'm just going to solve problems. Like, I think that is so key as individuals who are, struggling or just trying to figure it out. And they're like, what you need to do is figure out how you can solve a problem, because
Correct.
everybody out in this world has problems. And so you're either making more problems or you're solving problems, and you solved 3, 4, 5, and it's gotten you to where you are now.
Correct.
But you really built a legacy for yourself. I mean, and I call it kingdom work. That's what I call it.
Oh,
um
thank you.
yeah, because
Thank you.
on the outside, I mean, maybe for you, and we'll talk about earn your leisure in a little bit, but I think it's so easy to put like just a label and a cover of like, it's a financial platform, it's a this, it's a that. I did photography, I did personal branding, I did websites. But the reality is, you are almost responsible for birthing things and bringing them to life so that other people could either experience, explore, like you said, capture the moments. If those moments weren't
Mhm.
captured, then you were pivotal to put money in people's pockets regardless. And here you are doing the
Correct.
same thing now in a
Well,
different
well,
way.
that's well, that's what started my brand, because I knew I was like, my destiny was controlled, was on the faith of someone else's
Mm-hmm.
talent, right? So if I was making you like successful or behind your brand, or I was behind that brand or behind that brand, if that brand ever wanted to like go a different direction, or they didn't want to do the brand anymore, I was subject to their work ethic. I was subject to them, their decision making. And
Yes.
me building my own brand, now I can create my own destiny. I control my own destiny. If I want to create a mastermind, right, I can create a mastermind for my own self now. I don't need to call, you. I don't need to call her. I don't need to call him. I can do it myself now, because I've built an audience. I have a following, a pretty nice, decent following, and I have like receipts. I have social proof. I have all those different things and different elements now, because I've been in front of the camera for a few months now, and I've been giving you so much content. Like the
Mm-hmm.
amount of content that I've been given for the past 5 or 6 months has been tremendously life changing if you used it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like there's some people to this day that like I literally 5x their business in literally one conversation, because I seen one thing they wasn't doing right, and I said, listen, this is how you have to do it. But that's the thing, and that's why coaching is so important and mentorship is so important, because it's just like I think back to my brothers. They've made the mistakes. I learned from those mistakes. You don't have to make mistakes. You have people that been through those mistakes and been through those experiences. Now you need to use them to your advantage. They've made the mistakes. They know the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Use other people to get to your destination faster.
Yeah, and that's coaches and mentors are a cheat code. Like I've had several coaches. When in 2019, when I quit my bartending job, the first thing I did was get myself a coach. I was so lost, so confused. I actually interviewed her on the podcast, and I remember our first conversation. I said, listen, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be of service. I don't know what I'm really good at. I have a dance company and I have all this, but I don't know what I'm good at. And she was able to use, with all the, the investments that she's made, to pour back into me. And what I
Mhm.
did in 8 months, it took her about 5 years. So we are
Wow.
literally cheat codes. We are, and that's what you are. And I feel like when people do invest, they don't just invest for the hour, for the 6 months of coaching, for the 12 months of coaching. They're invested in your years and your
Mhm.
lifeline of knowledge and information. And um that's where honestly I really feel like people really need to tap into that. That's the biggest hack in your life, is have a good coach, have a good mentor, follow what they do, don't question it. I mean, unless it affects your integrity. But other than that, I really do feel like having the right coach and the right mentor and tapping into those services. Because I mean, I'm gonna dive right into that, because you're now on the forefront. You're, like you said, you're building your personal brand, you offer mentorship, you offer coaching, but once upon a time you were behind the scenes.
Yes.
So why not? I don't know if why is the question, but maybe obviously there's a purpose for that. But you obviously are a co-founder of Earn Your Leisure, but you were behind the scenes. So talk to me about being behind the scenes and kind of coming out and being this. Coming out sounds weird. Being being in the forefront, stepping in front of the curtains, and having your face everywhere, because you're a genius. I want to know.
Well, I mean, you got to think of it like this, right? I mean, if I didn't have a son, I probably would still be behind the scenes. But I always thought about like, I can't let my family's fortune be on someone else's back. I have
Mm,
to be in control of my family's fortune. if the business go, if God forbid, knock on wood, but if Earn Your Leisure was to go to shits, right? What what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So where can I go?
Yeah.
So I thought about not like thinking about that, but I thought about just the concept of I have to be in control of my destiny. My
Yes.
family is counting on me to provide, and I have to continue to provide for my family. So I can't let anyone else be in control of my household. I have to be the sole provider for my household. And if it took me coming in front of the camera to take that position, then I'm going to take that position because that's what a man does. That's what a provider does. If I didn't have a kid, I probably would just be chilling and because being behind the scenes is the best because I can still live my life
Yes.
how I want. I don't have to be all dressy every time I go out the house. I can act the way I want to act. I'm not still to this day. A lot of people don't know that I'm an owner of Earn Your Leisure. So and I still have that. That's still a gift. Like that's a gift. It's a gift and a curse, but it's still a gift, right? I still use
Mm-hmm.
it because I can still live my normal life. I don't have to worry about being a target. I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I knew the responsibilities is coming in front of this camera, and those things are now starting to be an issue. Right now, people are talking bad about me, like on comments on videos, and people might think I have money and this and that, and want to target me. Like all these different things could play a part now because I got in front of the camera. If I was financially free, I probably would not be in front of the camera. But I said to myself, I'm gonna do this for a couple of years and help as many people as I possibly can, and then I'll stop at 2 years and see where's my next season. If my season says keep doing it, I'm gonna keep doing it. If my season says don't do it, then I won't do it. But I'm gonna look at it and see. But this is just something I was just thinking. I'm like, I've only been helping businesses that I've been building. What if I helped businesses that I'm just like that are out there that are having problems like with their business? What if I could just help them with that, like that one or two or three things, and change the whole trajectory of their business? And I say, you know what? Let's see what it looks like. And I end up getting 20 clients in like a matter of 2 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's been going well. Like I did like 2 or 3 weeks of coaching with them, and I'm learning like it's really the same. A lot of these businesses, small businesses or brands, have like the same issues. And if
Yes.
they just it goes back to you don't know what you don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
and I used to think I didn't notice until like really recently that the simplest things that I know could be the most complicated things to someone else.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that I learned, and it changed me. And that's why I can easily make content now, because I know a broad range of a lot of things, and each one of those things could change someone else's life.
Yes. You said so much there that I want to like start from the beginning. Um, because if you never came out and be in front of the camera, if you never put yourself behind the camera, then you would be doing everybody a disservice. You would have just left those 20 clients or 20 people that were really lost and confused in this specific area that you're gifted in, and you would have just they would just still be there. So you are a possibility, and that's what we do when we actually step out in faith and we step out of our comfort zone and those things that kind of block us. We actually are in service to people. Like we're being selfish by not stepping out. So I love that
Correct.
that you were able to say that. But I like being real. Okay. You're also the first male on this podcast. Okay. It's been all
Oh
women.
wow.
So, okay.
Wow.
Not only are you an international podcast, but you are the one and only male so far on this podcast. And I know that there's a lot of men that listen and are covering my page just from like business and brands and personal growth. And a lot of the men also help their spouses or individuals around them with businesses, and they're scared of being in front of the camera. A lot of the things that you mentioned of like, yeah, being in the public eye, navigating, what people are going to say and how people are going to hate and money this and image that, because the reality is, you're right. When you're behind the scenes, you could just walk to the store and nobody's going to say nothing to you, but you're officially, in front of everything and anything. Now, what were those like, because you obviously had internal battles and had your own things that you had to go through to kind of get to the point of being like, I'm doing it and it's going to happen. But I want to talk about those feelings that you may have had that are completely normal, but nobody talks about. And you may still be facing them, like you said. But when you are, theme of the podcast, one of one, and you have a special calling and a talent and a gift on your life, you're going to experience these hardships. You're going to experience the trials and the tribulations. And I want you to kind of mention some of those things like that you probably faced and kind of endured or still going through, if you're still going through some of those things, when you were ready to come in front of the camera to kind of be your own personal brand and put yourself in the forefront. I know you mentioned something, so obviously like where it might kind of cross, but if there is something else, you can bring it up.
Well, the first thing I would say is that I was just scared what people would think. I was scared
Mm.
what people would say. He's just jealous. He's just mad. He's just hating. His ego's getting in the way. Like I was scared about a lot of those things because I haven't been in the front. Why are you coming now? So,
Mm.
and I had a conversation with my partners and I was telling them like how I felt and stuff like that. So, they knew it was it was gonna happen. And I said, you know what? The people that are worried about the people I'm worried about that's going to say something ain't putting a dollar in my pocket. I can't be
Absolutely.
worried about those people, and I have to worry about my family. My family is my most important concern. So I said to myself, I said, because I recorded content for like 3 months and I was just scared to put it out. And that day happened. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just putting it out. And I put my first piece of content out, and I got a lot of good feedback from it. Like people were just, you know, like happy to see me like just be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it because then it became therapeutic for me. And that part of it is like that made me know that I will never stop making content. Whether or not I put it out or not, but I would never stop making it because my shoulders could be full. Like they could be carrying like a ton of weight. And I could just come down here in my studio and just record. I don't ever have to put it out, but what it does for me is releases the weight that I've been carrying. So I don't have
Wow.
to carry weight. So I can go into each day empty and not filled with a bunch with stuff from, the previous day or whatnot. So those are
Mm.
the things like that I really had to deal with. And like it I just can't worry about people that's not worried about me.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even care about the comments and stuff like that. I only know about it because people tell me, but I don't look at them.
Yeah.
Who
That's such an interesting perspective because, yeah, if I mean, they're not putting a dollar in your account. And to be honest, by them watching and hating, it's actually doing something for you. Because if you're watching, you're still a view. And if you're watching, the algorithm's still going to pick it up and say, oh, people are watching this. So at the end of the day, I love that you say that. And I think that's the biggest thing is people are afraid of what other people are going to think about them, whether it's their family, whether it's coworkers, other brands and other
Mhm,
businesses. And we really are our biggest critics. Half of the things that we point out about ourselves,
mhm,
nobody cares. Nobody cares, if you have a double chin in the camera. Nobody cares if your shoulders are slouched. Nobody cares if you're not wearing a brand name Macaj or, whatever, Gucci sweater, because at the end of the
mhm.
day, it does not matter. It's about the value and the intentionality of what you bring to the table. And you do all of that. So I love that conversation because it really stops so many people. And like you said, in the coaching and mentorship, I 100% know that all of the people that come to me tell me, I just don't want to go on the camera and I'm scared to be in front of the camera and what are people going to say, or I look ugly in this and that. And it's something you
Yep,
really have to push through, because if you continue to let external factors dictate your destiny and your legacy, like you mentioned, and the money in your bank account, you got bigger fish to fry because you're focused on the wrong thing.
facts.
Right. So, okay. So you obviously, like we mentioned, you were behind the curtains and you created something, like you were saying you were helping building other businesses, and now you have a set of clients and a set of people that come to you. But I don't know about you, but this always pops in my head. I mean, I create content for businesses. I do marketing strategies and help them kind of build their personal brands and storytelling online. But I don't really talk about that on the podcast as much. I talk about the whole competition and then, being one of a kind. But you do a bunch of things that I also want to do. And you do a bunch of things that probably people are coming up with. A lot of people are getting into the financial markets. They're either trading, they're creating in festivals or creating events. And it's all kind of in the same space, but because you're one of a kind and because you're one of one, and I mean, you and your other business partners as well know that. Like, yes, other people can do it, but nobody can do it like you. I want to know your mindset around that. Like, how do you what's been like a pivotal either mindset shift for you of being like, yeah, everybody's doing this. Like for me, it's everybody's doing this, but nobody's me. But still some days, I'm not gonna lie, I get in my little pity party and I'm like, but everybody's creating content and everybody's creating a media company and everybody's doing this. How do you get past that? And do those thoughts even come to your head?
You can't worry about anyone else. You got to be in competition with yourself. And
Good.
your goal should be to be better than you was the day before, better than the month before. You got to always compete with yourself. Now, inspiration can come from other people that's doing things, and you can take that in, but you have to put your sauce on it. You have to put your look on it, your feeling on it, your touch on it. And that's what I do. I mean, I don't really look at too many other people's things.
Mm.
I do indulge in a lot of courses and stuff, and that just helps me, like courses on like how to sell, right, or how to build like even I'm in a course right now on how to do one-on-one coaching because I've never done it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what it does for me, it gives me the information that I need on how to structure it, how to layer it, how, the footprint for it. And now I got this information and I want to deliver it correctly over a 4-month period to each client, and I want to make sure their success is handed to them, and that's my goal. And so now that's what I'm doing now. I'm being coached on how to coach,
Yeah.
because I give them a lot of information, but I'm not sure if they're going to retain all the information in 1 or 2 calls. I have to make sure they retain the information and execute on the information. My goal is to their success is my responsibility
Mm.
because they paid me to become responsible. But I also have to make sure that they execute. So those are the things that I'm trying to learn, and how to relate to the different learning patterns with each person I got. Like what's this person's trigger like to make them go? What's this person's trigger to make them go? And I'm trying to really like diversify my teaching with each different client so they can have a great experience and become highly successful.
I love that. And again, you're still learning. Like you are forever a student, which I think that makes
100%.
it so
I'll be
unique.
always learning.
Yeah, that's so unique. And I think that's something I've always, remembered that we never just land at this place. Like I feel like a lot of people think that you just one day land and we have it all figured out. And I mentioned this as well, that I went to school for social work for 2 years. And it was one of those things that I was like, God, like this is the craziest thing you could have ever done. Because like me, social worker, what I didn't realize is through my one-on-one sessions, or even creating content for clients in person, I use so much of those tactics with my clients, which is
Wow.
unreal. And so one of the biggest things, and I'll ask you this, like one of the biggest lessons that you've learned through, learning, and being in all these courses, but for me, I learned people's motivators. So I mean, we go through the green, the red, the blue,
Mhm.
and the yellow personality traits. And I used to be in network
Yep.
marketing. So when I was in network marketing, we were taught these things of like how to motivate people. Some people are motivated and driven by money and numbers and statistics, and some people are all about the fun and the community and the the vibes, the environment. And
Yep.
then there's people that love gifts and they just love being coddled and all that. And I learned that I'm all of them. I'm all of them, but I love I mostly attract people that are based on green, which is so interesting because I became a numbers person. I became somebody who cared about statistics. Now, not so much the other stuff, but I realized that a lot of people could either be driven by money, and a lot of people could either be driven by, legacy, family, freedom, success, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that was pivotal, I guess, and something that I learned from you in like our 10 minutes in the dressing room before you started speaking, was really about like you energize people. Like you said, you're responsible for other people's not only success, but how comfortable you make them feel. And
Mhm.
so confidence is one thing that like really exudes from you, and something that when a lot of people get around me, not, and again, I think part of being honest with who we are is that to acknowledge these traits. And I feel like I've become a very confident person, and that leaks out the confidence and the joy for other people. So I noticed that about you. Like, your energy was immaculate. It made me jump. I literally startled myself when I was like, yo, I did not expect that. And so that's
When
something
I made the intro video,
I was like, but that's definitely one of my biggest takeaway for me was your confidence, and how your confidence allows other people to feel comfortable. So
well, the
what?
great thing
Yeah.
about it is the great thing about like what I've been doing is I've been showing you every step of the way. So like I literally from the day I made my first piece of content, you've watched me grow, and I've been telling you my processes. I've been telling you everything I was going to do. And when you tell someone ahead of time what you're going to do, and then you end up doing it, I think that gives one, me confidence, more confidence, but two, it gives them it gives them like a reality check. Like, wait, I seen him say he can do this,
Yes.
and now he's doing it.
Yeah.
Why am I still sitting on the couch watching football
Yeah.
when I could be putting, you know, my skill to work and have it make me money? And people don't realize that you can literally monetize everything, right? So like, you have a skill that someone would pay for. Why not put that skill out to the world? And if people don't know what they don't know, if they don't know you're good at something and you don't tell them, how could you ever get business from it? Like, I was I had this client, and I asked them that we're going through it. I'm doing an audit of their business, and they're like, yeah, but I don't really post on social media at all. Like, why do you think your business is down? Because you're not posting. You're not telling people what you offer. If you don't tell people what you offer, how can people know what you offer? You just think it's a magic trick? No. And that's going to be a simple client, because you just got to have exposure because they have a great product. Sometimes they think you can have a great product, but if nobody knows about your great product, it's never going to sell.
It doesn't matter.
But they have a great product, but they think the product is going to sell itself. Yeah, it could sell itself once it gets in front of people, but you still have to put it in front of people.
Yes.
So it's those are the things you have to let people know what you do in every arena. Like, if you're in the bar, if you're in the library, if you let people know, wear conversational pieces, like have a shirt to say, ask me what I do. I was thinking about making a shirt like that, because
that's so cool.
Because I think people should actually, make it easier, make it comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the thing. Like, I am very uncomfortable going up to people in a networking event, right? But I said, if I want to do this, I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. When I want to step out into a different space, an environment that I'm not comfortable with, in order for me to get to point B, I have to do those things. And that's what I've been doing. Like, I went to a mastermind, and it had a network component, and I was like, wow. But I said to myself, I said, if this is what I'm going to do, I got to do it. And all I could think about, I look at my phone and I see my son on the screen, and I said, I got to do it for him. I got to make myself comfortable. And that's what it is. You got to have something, a purpose and a motivation. And that's my motivation.
Wow, that's so cute. That made me like warm up. I mean, I have nieces and nephews, and I saw them today, and I just want to like squeeze them and hug them. And so for you, your why and your passion, your purpose has to be at the forefront.
Aligned.
And I love that you say that.
Yeah, it has to be aligned.
And you have to, and that part of, you got to be uncomfortable with, like, you just got to get it done. And I'm going to make my clients listen to this like 10 times, because the reality is people will still come to you with the same problem. Like, I'll have people book calls, and I'm like, did you post on your stories? Did you create the reel? No, because this, or, oh, I didn't have time. And the thing is, you can make all the amount of excuses that you want, but and you can't you can't complain for the things you don't do. And that's the reality, is that's the reality check that you got to make. And if you're not where you want to be, and you know what you have to do, but you don't do it, you can't blame anybody else. And
you can't. I mean, and that's what I say to my clients. I say, don't sign up with me if you don't plan on doing what I put in front of you. Because if you're not going to do it, it's not going to be helpful for you or me. You're going to feel like I wasn't helpful. I didn't provide a great service, and you're not going to be happy. So if you're not going to do the things that I put in place for you, then I would greatly suggest that you don't sign up with me, because it's gonna be some work. Nothing's a cheat code or easy. The thing
Yes.
is that it's seamless. It's less mistakes being made. It's a faster way to the finish line if you have someone like myself come in your business and help you with your business. So we're trying to get you there in 4 months, not 2 years. You know,
Yeah.
like you
And
said, it took her 5 years. It took you 8 months.
yeah. And the thing is, like, people do expect that quick turnaround, like, quick money, quick cash, all those things. And it sucks because social media can do that for you, but not all the time. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've seen, like, I've had content that does really well, goes viral, gets me a lot of passive income and sales. But then I also have been doing this, like, I've been building my brand for 9 years from since I
Wow.
was teaching dance club, like dance at the club.
Hmm.
I've been building my brand. I have
Yeah.
pictures of me even before I used to do birthday parties. I used to host birthday parties. I was post on my social media like, if you want me to host your birthday party, blah blah blah, like come here. Like I've been building my brand since then. So the fact that people think that, oh, I'm just gonna post one reel, I'm gonna post one video, and then tomorrow I'm gonna get all these likes and views and shares and I'm gonna make so much money, it's not like it's impossible, but it's this idea of instant gratification that if you don't do the work, and sometimes it's just about taking that one step, create that one video, and that's where you start and be consistent with it. So I love that I've actually been watching you do that. And you tell that story. You're like, I started like this, I filmed all these videos, I batch recorded, I did that, but people still don't get it. And I think honestly, I think they just don't want it bad enough. That's what I think, like at the end of the day.
And that might be it. I mean, some people are not made to be entrepreneurs, and you got to accept that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone is not capable of living this life. It's a hard life because I don't know where the next dollar is coming from. You know,
Yeah.
I have to go create passive income. I have to create my own income. It's just different. It's different, right? Living in this space. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just want to go to a 9 to 5 and know exactly how much they're going to make every single week, and they're okay with that, and
Yeah.
and that's okay. But and just imagine if there were no employees, and you wouldn't be able to um uh, what is it, patronize any places, because
Mm-hmm.
there would be no employees. So you need
Correct.
employees, you need entrepreneurs, you need all. It's a whole ecosystem that everyone has to play their part. But I do think people should have like some type of brand, some type of outlet. Like if you are, I don't even know why this came to my mind, but if you are you work for an ice cream shop, you need to brand yourself as the ice cream maker. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, because God forbid, if you lost your job, it would be a lot easier for you to start your own ice cream company if you had to,
Mm-hmm.
because you have your own brand as the ice cream person.
Yeah.
If you're the photographer and you work for a photography company, if you brand yourself as the photographer, you lose your job or something happens with the company, you are going to be a lot easier to make money because you already brand yourself as the photographer.
Yeah.
So I always think that no matter what, if you're an employee or an employer, like you still need to brand yourself regardless. And I didn't really learn that until later on in life. Just imagine if I branded myself as I was building Earn Your Leisure, this would be a lot easier for me to do in terms of my own brand, because I was already doing it. People would know I'm a part of Earn Your Leisure because I would have been saying it for the last 5 years. I've only
Mm-hmm.
been saying it for the last 5 months. So
That's
people are
so
starting to catch
crazy.
on. People are starting to catch on. But yeah, I definitely think everybody needs to have their own brand. Whether
Mm-hmm.
they make it so public or not, you got to brand yourself in some capacity.
Yeah. And I
And
always and I always say it is like, people don't buy into what you do. They buy into who you are. So
that's 100% fact.
if today you decided to sell shirts, toothpaste, flooring, whatever, I'm going to follow along. I'm going to be like, yo, I was there when you launched that. I was there when you launched that. I was there when you launched that. So I know the
Mhm.
next thing you're going to launch, I need to be and have a part of, that piece of that pie. So people definitely need to capitalize more on the personal brand. And to be honest, I think that's just been my, like, I guess maybe because I went in it a little bit earlier, but now I'm in it, so things change and things are forever evolving, so you just got to keep up and stay up to date, but stay integral. I feel like that's a huge part, and I want to talk about, because we are going to wrap up soon, but I want to talk about something that's been a question that I've had for you. I didn't get to ask you this and we haven't had that conversation, and I don't know if you're open to it as much, but I'm going to go in there. But I feel like if you don't have integrity and you don't have values and you don't have morals, it is so easy to get lost in this game, in the social media, personal branding, and just
Mhm.
business in general. So you have God first in your bio. I have God first in my bio. I got saved about 3 years ago and a half. I think I've only been a Christian for a short amount of time. But when I
Mhm.
became a Christian, I I mean, I'm not perfect. I actually go through so much, and I think my biggest fear was, telling people that I believed in God, showcasing so much of my beliefs because I was afraid of what people were going to think of me, and
Mhm.
because I'm not perfect, and because I, still there's still a lot of things in work and at work in my life, that it was a kind of like almost like a shameful thing. But as soon as I started opening up about it, I realized that there was things that I didn't want to do anymore as a Christian. I actually didn't have the desire of going out anymore or of being at the club or of drinking or around being around a certain amount of people. Like it shifted me. And now every time I go to create content or I work with a client, those values are in the back end. And same thing when I create content now on social media. So I want to talk about your belief and just how maybe that if it's shaped a part in your journey and into how you work, into how you do things, and if it actually maybe is something that inspired you and ignited you.
Well, God has always played a major part in my life. I always had a relationship with God. I never really studied religion per se. My fiance, she's really deep into religion and the spiritual aspect of God and Jesus and things like that. But she said something to me that kind of struck a nerve with me. She said, "Tell me a scripture," and I couldn't tell her a scripture.
Ooh.
Like she said, "Tell me your favorite scripture," and I couldn't tell her my favorite scripture, and that showed me that I need to go deeper. All right, I have this relationship that I just talk to God on a personal level, but now I have to talk to him on a spiritual level. And by her just saying that one thing, it sparked the whole thing in me. Now I go to church more. Um, I sign up to a Bible study,
I love
and
that.
I'm highly contemplating on getting baptized at the start of the year and like stop drinking and stop having sex until I'm married. All those things, So I if because I feel like if I'm a go, I'm a person that either goes all the way or don't go at all. So I definitely been thinking about it. It's been really close to my heart. I think God has been giving me signs, telling me like it's time to now it's time to convert. It's time to give me my whole life to God. Unfortunately, I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing, like, having sex out of wedlock and things like that. And, swearing, drinking, all these things that like you're always taught that you shouldn't do. And I
Mhm.
was doing, but I think I come to a point in my life that I'm ready to just live my life as righteous as possible and give my life to God and make sure God is first. Not just say it, but really like live it. And that's the season I'm in. Like that's the season I'm going into, and I'm preparing myself to be in, because I think life is better on that side. And we're only here for a short period of time, but we're with God a much longer time. So I want to make
Mhm.
sure that my afterlife is going to be a great stay with the
Yeah.
man at top.
Wow. And I mean, thank you for sharing because it's always such a touchy subject. I mean, I definitely like the guests that I have, I'll know like, okay, she's a pastor, so we can touch on that. And I have a lot of non-Christian people that are on my page and actually don't know about God or people that don't believe in God. There's a lot of atheists that follow me. There's a lot of other religions and people that are even curious. And so for you to be able to share this is so timely. And I will say that it was in my heart because I've actually have had the privilege to help a lot of people kind of get into like get baptized. I got baptized 2 years ago. And when I made the
So
decision, I think for me, it was like, I'm so tired. Like I'm so tired of waking up and hating everything that I do. I'm tired of questioning, what's my purpose here? Like I do all these things. I was in so many different relationships. I've been in and out of relationships. And for the first time ever, I've been single for 7 or going on to 8 months since I was 17. Like it's crazy to me
wow.
that my identity and my purpose has always been latched onto the validation of men, validation of relationships. And I
Mhm.
was just so tired of being sick and tired of me crying over when I wasn't in a relationship, or I didn't receive a gift, or I didn't receive the love. And I just saw so many people have this love of God. And I just thought, like, I can't wait for one day for that to be me. And when we realize that God doesn't, like, all things work together for those who love God and all things according to his purpose. So for me, it's like, you love God, and so all things are working for your favor. But God wants a deeper relationship with all of us. He doesn't want it to just stay surface level. And as we go deeper, we actually begin to see that more is pulled out, and he expands your territory, and the reality is there's more people that to be touched and to be blessed. And so I'm so grateful that you were able to share that with me. And for me,
Mhm.
I mean, it convicts me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, hold on, am I living my life fully all in? Because it's so easy to say, I have a relationship with God, I go to church, I serve, I'm a mentor in church, I navigate and help women kind of in that same season, and then mentor them to kind of get baptized and give their life to God. But am I living my life according to the purpose and the will of God? And the reality is, right now in this moment, there's a lot of things that I know I got to fix and I got to change. And
Mhm.
where I know God wants me, and God he doesn't shame us, he doesn't guilt us, and he's always there because he loves us as a father. But I really do feel like he's calling us to go deeper. And this is the season where he's just kind of breaking and showing us and being like, I've been here this whole time. When are you going to see? And here I am. And so I love that one of your goals is to get baptized, and I will be praying for you. I'll be praying for your family. You
I
have such a
appreciate it.
beautiful
Thank you.
family.
Thank
and
you.
and so we're gonna wrap up, but before we wrap up, that was such a great way to just for that closing. I'm like, honestly, God, thank you. Like, that was such a download from God for sure. But I want you to leave our listeners and our viewers off with something, because I know a lot of people are listening, and whether it's like, I want to build a personal brand, I want to grow my business, I want to, whatever it is, like, there's so many gems in this podcast, or I'm in the streets, I don't know where to go, I don't even have a brand or a business or a passion, I just need to get out somewhere, or they're already building a business, kind of shifting off. Like, can you give somebody a tangible, practical message that they can take away from listening to this podcast, and that you can, I mean, you've already blessed them, but let's give them what to take home.
Well, I would say, find something you really love to do. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't find your purpose, your life is always going to be unfulfilled, and you're always going to
Mm.
want more, more, and more. But once you find your purpose and you're walking in your purpose, I promise you, you could have all the money in the world or no money. You're going to feel so fulfilled. And living life fulfilled is so much more gratifying than living life unfulfilled.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. Listen, that was truly a one of a kind conversation. Like, I don't think, like, that was so special. All of it from the start, from to now. I honor you, and I thank you for your time,
Thank
and
you. Thank you for
for,
having me.
yeah, this, and I mean, congratulations on your first international podcast tour.
That's a fact.
To many
Yeah.
more.
Shout out to Toronto, Canada. Where you're in Toronto, right?
I'm in Toronto. I live in Burlington, which is a little bit. Have you ever been to Niagara Falls?
I have.
Okay, so I live about 40 minutes from Niagara Falls, so I'm a little further from the CN Tower and all the mix there. But yeah,
Okay.
so I'm here, and I love the States. I was in Atlanta for about 13 hours for a client. So I'm and Miami and New York. I definitely want to be more in the States, and I need some warm weather because winters get really bad out here, and I'm done. So but yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
because you really are one of one. And I
I
hope that
appreciate
this
that.
conversation reaches so many people. And that I pray that it blesses you as a listener and as a viewer. And don't forget to share this. Don't forget to like it. Don't forget to rate it 5 stars, and really let us know below, because there has to be a part two. Like, we need to do a part two in the new year, because I feel like all these things that are happening right now, like, it's been 5 months of you building your personal brand. I know that your steps are ordered, and there's so many great things coming for you in the new year. So we definitely need to do a part two.
Let's do it. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.